Hello, everybody. This is Mark Pirtle. I'm with my dear friend, Sandra Marinella. She is the author of a fabulous book. I want to just show you. It's The Story You Need to Tell, and writing to writing to heal from trauma, illness, or loss. Okay. I love Sandra and her work, and I felt excited, Sandra, when I found out about your book, because I feel like it's a perfect companion to the book that I'm writing. Companion book to the movie Is Your Story Making You Sick?
Right.
And so, Sandra, would you mind introducing yourself to our audience?
Oh, I'd love to. First, let me say that I'm thrilled to be here with Mark Pirtle. He's become a friend in a very short time. I discovered his work through beatcancer.org, and he discovered my work when I said, hey, we share the same kind of emphasis on story. And I have been a teacher for 30 years, over 30 years in high schools and then colleges in the Phoenix area. And when I got cancer, I realized I hadn't fully lived out my dream of being an author and writing. I'd been teaching writing for 30 years. So I began to write, and the magic of that was pretty phenomenal.
And didn't you teach writing, though? I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, no, you didn't. You're fine.
Yeah.
Yes, I taught writing for 30 years. But I mean, I realized I was writing a book about education and my passion for teaching. And I got cancer in 2012 and realized, wait a minute, the magic here, teaching's magical, but writing is what has been incredibly powerful in my life, life-changing, transformative, and that was what I needed to share.
Oh, I see. So what inspired you then to write is the story that you need to tell?
I started writing when I had cancer. And I realized in 2012 as I was writing that all of us have these stories inside that we hold very tightly and that are maybe shattered stories. My own cancer story felt like something I couldn't really share with people or something I didn't really want to talk about and give to others. And so when I started doing my research, I felt, wow, this is powerful. We all have broken stories. 81% of us believe we have a book inside, and oftentimes we just kind of hold tight to that story because we don't want to release it.
So that percentage of people, that's the vast majority of people, believe that they have a story they need to tell. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yes, I read that from a study in the New York Times, and that really propelled me to move forward with writing a book on, hey, it's not that hard to pull these stories out. And that led then to the research that taught me it was not only a good thing to pull them out, it was a very healthy thing to pull them out.
So tell me more about that research, because I read in your book that you interviewed over 100 people.
Oh, wow. You ask good questions, Mark. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I loved your book. It's great.
I love your work. I was amazed when I had cancer. I started doing the research, and I had been teaching writing all of my life, and I had watched it help to heal and transform the lives of my students. So I thought, wait a minute, is this just me, or does this work across the board? So when I began looking at the research, I found Penny Baker, I found Luis DeSalvo. I found so many people who had committed their lives to this work of narrative medicine, of writing and healing. It blew me away. There were over 200 studies, maybe 400 at Mayo when I started work there. And then we did our own research at Mayo Clinic, because we thought there's just not enough of this done in clinical settings.
Oh my goodness. So what is the critical role of a story in a person's life?
Well, I think if you really study it, we get up every day and we think in story. Mm-hmm. We sort of visualize how our day will go and what will happen. Maybe we get on Facebook and tell a little bit of our story. We chat with our significant others about what's going on in our lives, telling our story. So if you think about it, our lives are really centered on our stories. And neuroscientists tell us that these stories are truly what defines us, particularly the stories we put on replay in our minds, the stories that we're listening to over and over help define us. And that can be good when they're good stories, but when a story breaks, it can be problematic.
So how is it that you can use narrative medicine and the rewriting of, or the rescripting of your narrative to heal? You have so many examples of lovely personal stories in your book, this story you need to tell. Do you have an example of somebody or a couple of people in particular that you can share where their life was transformed as a result of doing this work?
Absolutely. When I started working with cancer patients and veterans, I was absolutely blown away by the power of their stories and watching how writing changed their lives. And I think probably the one that stood out to me the most, because she was my first really transformative story, was Barbara Lee. And she was a veteran coming to downtown to the hospital and working with me in a writing group. And initially, I found her scary. I mean, she would come kind of storming into our group, angry, and she would write these. Every week I would give them a prompt, and they would write about the prompt, and then we would share our work, and then get another prompt, talk about it, write again.
Tell me what's a prompt? What's a prompt?
Oh, a prompt is an idea for writing. Like I might say, okay, today we're going to write about, what scares you? What are you afraid of in this world?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, go on, please. I just wanted to make sure that I
Sure.
understood what you were saying. Yeah.
Good question. Really good question. But Barbara was initially writing about political angst, her frustrations with politicians, her frustration with race relations. She was a beautiful Black woman, and so this really frustrated her, the way she was treated. And eventually, I think she got very comfortable in the writing group. And this is the power of writing your story. She began slowly to release, week by week, poems that told us about her story. And her story was a story of over 20 years ago having been raped overseas and never having told anybody, and holding it in, and now finding herself being treated at a hospital for severe PTSD. So after she told the story, this was the cool thing. She began to write poems about changing her life and her new vision for her, and equine therapy and yoga and painting. And she began to accept herself as a poet. And just watching that blooming and that transformation was just amazing.
Oh, that's lovely.
I think you see that with your people too, Mark.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Transformation that
Yeah.
must open up in the very same way. I think one of the first stages is probably meditation, and you're the guru of meditation.
I wouldn't say guru.
Well, I would.
Working at it.
How does that work for you?
Yeah, working at it for sure. So it seems like the modalities that the examples of people in your book have undertaken to transform their lives seem very similar to those that we had the 8 participants in our documentary film go through. We had narrative scripting, and we had them do dream work and writing and meditation and somatic experiencing and holotropic breath work, and the list goes on. And it's interesting when you do something like that, especially in group form. That experience is psychoactive. It changes you. It changes who you think you are, and how resourceful you are and creative. And then if you get some support from loving people who mirror back your own strength, I think that's a really great recipe for bootstrapping yourself into a new way of relating to yourself and others.
You said that beautifully. I had lunch with Barbara Lee last week, and she said, from now on, you have to be sure you talk about post-traumatic growth, because she said that's what happens. We just burst into growth after you introduce these ways, the writing, the meditation, the strategies to help us grow and find new paths.
I
She said,
think what all of these modalities enable us to do is sort of metabolize all of that unintegrated story, that story where we still frame ourselves as broken, or less than, or lacking in some sort of capability or resource, and then you do these modalities, and you begin to see yourself differently, and that's sort of the narrative rescripting, I guess.
right,
So
absolutely.
do you have any, now that we're on strategies, do you have a couple of writing strategies that you could share with anybody who's watching?
Oh, absolutely. I think when we begin a new year, um, there are three strategies that I think are really powerful. The first one is easy. It's called intentions. We want to write resolutions, and I think it's really helpful to start the year out or even a day out by setting intention, which is really different from resolutions. We used to talk about resolutions, but this has a plan, and it's specific, and we can hold it and frame it. And when we put these in writing, we can see them more clearly. So I definitely suggest, if you haven't done so, that you take time right now to write some intentions for the coming decade or the coming year or the coming week. Um, and then probably my second one, I never like to leave listeners without a really positive, upbeat way to manage life. And I know life gets hard and we all have broken stories. So I highly recommend gratitude writing, where you just take a journal, or you can write on a napkin, wherever you write, or maybe you just talk yourself through them if you're not a writer. But you hold your gratitudes. You tell yourself what you appreciate, and of course that helps to build the serotonin in the mind, and it makes you happier. And then the challenging kind of writing that most people want me to teach them about is what I call challenge writing. And it is based on Penny Baker's research, and it's simply writing about a difficult experience, but not doing that until you're ready. And when you're ready, you just talk about feelings and thoughts and let it go.
I see. Okay, lovely. So wonderful. Is there anything else you'd like to say, and communicate to the viewers about the book?
Oh,
I'm going to show it just one more time. The story you need to tell: writing to heal from trauma, illness, or loss. That's Sandra Marinella. It's a lovely book, and super well written, beautiful stories, and it's got an utterly positive and upbeat message, and I think readers will be able to relate to so many of the personal stories that you include in your book. So that not only is it helpful in terms of teaching a very thorough writing process that's therapeutic. I think the other therapeutic aspect of the book is just relating to all the other people who have overcome so much, and the sense, and realizing that you're not the only one, and you're in good company, and you can do this.
thank you, Mark. I would encourage people that want to know more to go to my website, www.storyyouTell.com. I offer workshops on writing, and I'm really hoping to work with Mark Purtle at some point. So
We're definitely going to do a retreat together for sure.
we have to do something to meld together the power of what he's doing and my passion for this writing and helping people rewrite their stories when needed, or just write their stories to gift and to share with the world.
That's lovely. And for any of the viewers who want to know more about me and my work, I'm Mark Purtle. You can find me at my website, markferrispurtle.com or skillfullyaware.com. The movie that is not yet released publicly, it's still in its educational run, is Is Your Story Making You Sick? And the website for that film is www.story.movie. And I also am grateful to have this time with you, and thank you, the viewers at home, for taking your time to watch us. And we'd love to hear your comments. I'm going to post this on Facebook and my other social media outlets, and we will spend the time to answer any questions and comments that you have.
We are looking forward to it. This is a wonderful tribe Mark has created. We look forward to talking with you.
Well, thank you, Sandra. I know we'll be talking soon.
Yes, I hope
All
so.
the best to you.
Okay, take care.
Okay, bye now.